Welcome to Reddit News. Like and subscribe or this will eat your cookies. What movie traumatized you as a kid? E.T. terrified me. Then my dad made it 1,000 times worse by telling me that the gurgling noises a tub makes as it's draining is E.T. and that he's coming to get me. My boyfriend and I were also similarly freaked out by E.T. as kids. We bonded over it. E.T. absolutely traumatized my little sister as a kid. She had E.T. themed nightmares for months. Same. It definitely says something so many people experienced this. That movie was never supposed to cause this. I definitely think it was his intention. Nightmares. I hated the scene where they were racing through the plastic sheeting tent thing. It made me feel like I was suffocating. My stepson stumbled on E.T., and out it on. I said, "Oh man, this movie scared me when I was your age." He scoffed and I'm like, "Yeah, just you wait, buddy." An hour later, out comes the plastic tubing and astronaut suits and he's hiding behind the couch. I told you it was scary. This was the worst scene for me too. Basically anything medically related as well, like pulling off/out the equipment. Was there an IV involved? That would have added to the trauma even more. The scientists reaching out with their astronaut gloves. I hate that E.T. is on Netflix now, because I have to be careful when looking through the movies, otherwise I might see it. Freaks me out each time I see him. That's a total dad move right there. Oh my gosh. I am 22, and E.T. still makes me feel uncomfortable. I didn't get over my fear over that movie until I was like 13. Laugh out loud. Finally, people who understand. Jaws. Can't swim in the sea or a lake without thinking, however fleetingly, that there's a shark nearby. I am convinced, for example, that the Norwegian fjords are filled with Greenland sharks. They actually held a screening of Jaws on a lake, with people sitting on rafts and other floating objects. The organizer also hired divers to pull on people's legs during certain scenes. Sounds perfect for you. I'd be the one crying. OMG. That would creep me out watching that on a raft. Came here to say this movie. My mom took me to see this when it came out. I was 10. I was so traumatized after. I thought for sure the shark would come up the shower drain and eat me. Also was fearful of the ocean and lakes after. Took me a long time not to be afraid anymore. I had bad nightmares after I saw the movie, and I couldn't watch them on TV. I still go into the ocean, but I'm still a bit afraid. I still can't watch this movie and I'm old now. LOL. The Mummy. There was a scene where some golden bugs come alive and entered into one of the characters' body, and I have a phobia of bugs now. Yes, that was horrifying. The way it crawled around under his skin. Shivers. I came into this thread not really knowing of a movie that traumatized me as a kid. Then I read your comment. I can watch the second and third one with little problem, but that first one still gets to me. Ugh. Same thing happened to me, but I was watching Matrix. The second one with the guy having all the bugs come out of his mouth had me shook for years. The CG mummy was pretty terrifying too. This is always my answer to this question. It was playing at someone's house that I was at when I was like 5 or 6, and I happened to see this scene. Was scared for a few days at least. That scene made me so uncomfortable. The thought of anything under my skin makes me sick to my stomach, and it absolutely started then. I forgot about that movie. Yeah, it was horrible, wasn't it? Thank God I'm not alone. I watched that movie when I was 8 because one of my friends convinced me that it was the best movie ever. I had nightmares until I was 11. The old It! Mom is a huge Stephen King fan, so I was 6 or 7? The first time I watched it. Tim Curry, man. I didn't shower without either my mom or sister standing guard for at least a year. When the new one came out, my mom thought it'd be fun to tie a red balloon to the sewer grate outside our house. Full-grown adult or not. Hate that. Edit. Because I saw it. The VHS my siblings kept on the top shelf, a piece of masking tape with Blair Witch Sharpied on, taught me to be curious. Me too. I was also about 7. It was on TV, so my mom didn't pay too close of attention to us kids watching it. Somehow, I was convinced that when I flushed the toilet, he'd come get me. So for years, I'd flush then run for my life. Odd place for angling, but okay. Watched that film when I was 10, and had nightmares for half a year after. My dad threw out the VHS one day, and then it was over. Nah, dude, it's not over. Has it been 27 years yet? Nope. But Pennywise hasn't turned up in my bedroom since then, so I reckon throwing the VHS worked, or I just wasn't such a good snack back then. Poltergeist. More specifically, the cameraman in the bathroom scene who notices a slight cut on their face. Many years later, my son wanted to see it, after seeing it in a stack of free DVDs. We skipped that specific part. He did see it much later and said he was glad he didn't see it back then. My stepsister loves scary movies and made me watch it. She told me to close my eyes. That scene too, but not the clown scene. Hate that clown. She and her friends watched Stephen King's It once. Then a second time just to watch me watch it. I'm a very hyper scary movie watcher. The clown is scary as a phobia type scare. The face is psychotic and a Silence of the Lambs type mental confusion of having your brain being eaten while you watch. Signs. Don't know why. It just freaked me out so much. Yes! Especially when you actually see the aliens at that birthday party for the first time. Also, I was a young girl who had an older brother that did baseball. I had childhood asthma. And I thought water tasted funny. I had nightmares for weeks. That's a great scene for how to build tension and the difference between terror and horror. The exact thing that came to my mind when I read the post title. That alien casually walking hunted me for months. Remember me, Eddie? When I killed your brother, I talked just like this. The shoe. That poor shoe. My parents showed that to me when I was way too young. I'm still upset about it. It's a totally different movie when you watch it as an adult. The shoe scene is way worse. I cried so hard at that scene. Control F then shoe. I knew it would be here. The Shining. 1997. The lady in the bathtub scene was horrifying. Didn't see that make, but the original movie with Jack Nicholson has broken me for life. My mother allowed us to watch it at a sleepover, with about 5 other 10-year-old girls. After watching it, anytime one of us started to fall asleep, the others would start whispering, "Red drum," in their ear. Nightmares for months. Couldn't watch anything with Jack Nicholson without the nightmare starting back up. Finally, at like 18 years old, I decided to try immersion therapy, and I watched like 5 Jack Nicholson movies in one day/night. Big mistake. Saw one scene from The Exorcist, and it was enough. Also Mel Gibson's Passion of Christ. Dude, I watched The Exorcist in film class, and we all laughed at the FX. Then when I was alone in my bed later, I opened my eyes and thought, oh no, I am afraid. I am very afraid. Lol. I feel like the effects in that movie held up pretty well. Unless I'm wildly misremembering it. Jurassic Park. Even though I knew that dinosaurs had been dead for millions of years, that didn't stop 8-year-old me from being terrified that there was a velociraptor outside my bedroom door just waiting for me to leave to go to the bathroom so it could eat me. I would stand at my door for 5+ minutes absolutely terrified that there was a million-year-old dino that survived long enough just for its chance to gobble me up. I would sprint through the hallway, go pee, and then repeat the terrified 5-minute process when I had to leave the bathroom. I also had reoccurring nightmares for years about velociraptors eating my family. Ironically now, I'm absolutely obsessed with prehistory and prehistoric creatures, and Jurassic Park is one of my favorite book series. Edit. Words are hard on mobile. Had to scroll so far for this I already added my own comment about it, but yas! Ridiculously terrifying. Edit. I still can't stand any of those movies. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. I have had a reoccurring nightmare with this scene for years. I have also watched all of the Jurassic Park movies over and over because the science behind the dinosaurs' creation is so much fun. Dinosaurs are still around. The birds. You mean the government surveillance drones? The birds work for the bourgeoisie. You mean the bird-joisie? Jumanji. I don't even remember this movie, but came to this thread to see if anyone else did. I think the ground swallowing people, open parentheses, and someone had a trumpet or something, close parentheses, was in that movie and it terrified me. The Hunter, dude, still scares me to this day. Why is the sequel less scary than the book from a kid's perspective? Saving Private Ryan. Not the movie itself. Just one scene where the GI held the dynamite too long when trying to blow up the tank. I was perfectly fine with the beach scene and everything up until that dynamite scene. The part that got me was when they find the French family in the bombed out building, and they're begging the soldiers to take their daughter, and the girl is terrified and screaming. It hit me with a deep sadness that stayed with me for a while. The moment that got me in that movie was during the beach scene when the guy is laying there holding his intestines and screaming for his mom. What about the dude looking for his arm? Finds it, picks it up and walks away. Batman! The one where Jack Nicholson played the Joker. Really stuck with me and can't watch anything with him in it. 6-year-old me was not ready for the Joker to fry that dude with a buzzer. I vaguely remember that. For me it's just his face. He is such a creepy guy to me. Jack Nicholson is my favorite Joker. I remember thinking that he must have used some makeup or prosthetics or some other Hollywood trick to get that smile. And then he made the rounds on late night shows like Letterman and Leno, and he could just do the smile on his own. Grudge. The original Japanese version at like 10. I can still hear that cut up women crawling down the stair making a weird throat noise. Just don't. I saw the Sarah Michelle Gellar version, then I slept with the lights on for 6 months after that. And I wasn't a kid. Ugh, this one! I was forced to watch it at a sleepover when I was 13. Open parentheses. First horror movie I ever watched, mind you. Close parentheses. And sweet Jesus. Took me a long time to get over that one. Oh wow. My condolences. I like this movie, but I genuinely think the first one is better. First one? Ju-on. The Grudge is the third movie in the series. The original 4 movies are Ju-on the Curse, Ju-on the Curse 2, Ju-on the Grudge, Ju-on the Grudge 2. Then we got the 3 American films, and 2 really good self-contained Japanese movies, Ju-on Black Ghost and Ju-on White Ghost. After that, the series was again rebooted with Ju-on, the beginning of the end, and Ju-on, the final curse. Never knew that. I always though grudges stand alone. The never-ending story. The monster. So many happy characters dying. The world turning into dust. It was intense. You sure you're talking about Avengers Infinity War? Zombieland. At 10, the opening with the guy getting eaten scared me for about a week. Ironically, it's one of my favorite movies now. Double Tap. I actually liked the sequel. Voldemort in Harry Potter films 4 through 5 really freaked me out. And the werewolf in Harry Potter 3. 2 come to mind. 1. Return to Oz. Those wheelies and their weird hands still creep me out. I found it on some streaming site recently and thought about making my kids watch it. 2. Watcher in the Woods. It's a Disney movie from the 70s, I believe, and it was terrifying to a first grader. Narak anyone? House of Wax. I watched it too many times. IDKY. That one guy trying to remove the wax off his friend's face, but he just ends up peeling off a chunk of his face. Ironic. Your profile picture is Coraline. That film scared me when I was a kid. The one with Paris Hilton? Or the Vincent Price one? He was pretty scary in that. Yes, that's it, I know. The Ring. Open parentheses. Japanese version. Close parentheses. To this day, I still cannot have a TV left on static. I was working at a video store when that came out. You would sometimes get videos with trailers as a sneak peek on which movies we were going to get to the store in a few weeks' time. The Ring trailer video was different though. Weird. Just static. Thus She Climbed Out of the Well. Scared me. Same here. My mom was watching it, and I came out into the living room as a kid, and it was the scene where she's coming out of the well and I lost myself. Couldn't even look at the cover or the box the disc came in. I was that scared. Spaceballs. Couldn't sleep alone for 2 years. How Spaceballs? I loved that. Same. I can't think of anything remotely scary from one of my favorite comedies. Dark Helmet kidnapping Vespa with the image of the king? Mega Maid's self-destruct sequence? Crashing on the desert planet? Pretty soft scenes. Pizza the Hut? Aladdin. The bit where the entrance comes out of the sand and then goes in again, and when Jasmine was stuck in the hourglass. Even the music freaked me out. My son, on the other hand, couldn't watch any classic Disney movies because all the music made him completely freak out. Snow White did that to me. Oh man. Yeah, that too. But for some reason, I felt compelled to watch it. Snow White is like a horror movie for little kids. Agreed. I remember the VHS title screen of it, with that creepy mirror talking. The witch terrified me so much too. The bit where she's running and falls down. The Watcher in the Woods. It's not even that scary, but for some reason I had nightmares for years afterwards about Bette Davis. Didn't scare me, but left an impression for sure. Don't think my mom was paying attention since it was Disney flick. Lol. I could never remember what the film was called. And when the world evolved and Google came along, I eventually found it. And when I saw it was by Disney, I was horrified. Watched it again as a grown-up, and it's definitely a creepy film.